Good morning, brethren. This is a political exhortation by me, Pastor Sheila Vitale, Living Epistles Ministries. For anybody listening to me who surfs the internet politically and and listens to a channel called Destroying the Illusion, I'm here today to tell you that this, in my humble opinion, the gentleman that runs that channel is not for the Republic. He is on the side. He's in somebody's pocket. He has an agenda. He is not on the side of the Republic. How do I know? I've been listening to him on and off for a long time. The first clue was that he said he was reiterating some person's name that apparently had importance to him, that said he was agreeing with their opinion that the people should not know everything. There are certain things that people shouldn't know. That was the first red light that went off. The people should know everything. There should be total transparency. Who is it that decides what we should know and what we should not know? But I just brought it in the back of my mind. But brethren, after this short exhortation with regard to destroying the illusion, I'm going to go into a longer exhortation on the recent assassination attempt of the president. But I'm making this very short because it's going to be published to short clips. So in the midst of this crisis in the country, this constitutional crisis, with an attempt on the president's life, thank God it failed, the gentleman that runs the channel, Destroying the Illusion, went online and chose at this time, just went off my phone, it chose at this time to knock one of the, and at this time of crisis, decided to attack one of the few, very, 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 very few websites that tell the truth and that have the latest news about what's going on in the cold Civil War. And the URL for the website is whatdoesitmean.com. But he mentioned the sister of Sorcha Faal, and he even spelled it Sorchafaal, the Sisters of Sorcha Faal. He knocked the website and said it was just a waste of your clicks to go there. At the very time that possibly the only site, or one of the very few sites on the internet, that you could be getting this information about a potential declaration of martial law because of an attack, because of an attempted assassination attempt on the president, and an attack on our economy, which if it had succeeded, would have crashed the economy, and all the banks would have been closed, and your money would have been worthless. This important information, one of the few sites, maybe only two sites that I know of, that were posting this information, the gentleman that runs Destroying the Illusion was telling you to stay away from that site. So something's really, really wrong. He's on the wrong side. That's my opinion. Know the truth. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Know the truth. He's a very young man. He just came on the scene within the last year or two. Who knows who he is or who's paying him. But if the Lord shows me a truth, I have to publish it. So please keep me in your prayers. I was going to tell you today about the assassination attempt on President Trump and the simultaneous attempt to destroy the economy. But Tony sent me a printout this morning, which I think will make it very easy on me. I'm just going to read you the printout that he sent me. He probably got it from What Does It Mean, but I'm not sure. I heard about this yesterday. I heard about it yesterday from the William Mount channel on YouTube. Okay. 50 cabal agents arrested. 50. They've already arrested 50 of them. Attempting a $5 trillion electronic heist. I should have started reading in another place. 50 cabal agents were arrested. They were in the process of an electronic heist of $5 trillion US. Treasury agents stopped them. Praise the Lord. God bless those men. I don't know if there were any women or not, but God bless them, whoever they are. Treasury agents stopped them before they could execute their plan. More information as it becomes available. Well, I know that for more information. I don't know where Tony got this from, but you have to go to different sites. Different sites have different information. Vladimir Putin, okay, called President Trump, or President Trump would probably be dead now. But President Trump's life is in Jesus' hand. But this is what happened. The Russian government arrested an American that works for an American company that has a lot of business with Russia, does a lot of business with Russia. The man says that he was there for a wedding. He speaks fluent Russian. He says he was there for a wedding for a friend of his, but he was arrested as a spy. Russian secret police arrested him as a spy. I don't know if they're secret police, but they're the Russian special agents arrested him as a spy, and they tortured him. And brethren, I mean, the thought of torture just horrifies me. I've been in conflict ever since they made an issue. Ever since the left made an issue out of it when President Bush was still president, and I'm in a moral conflict over it. I think hurting anybody is terrible. I know that hurting me. To be honest with you, I tell the Lord all the time, I don't know if I would hold up if I was tortured. I don't know. To me, it's a horrible thought. I used to think when I was harder and I believed in abortion and I was that old person, I thought, oh, sure, torture them, if they're spies, if they're treasonous, torture them. But I was a hard person. Now that the Lord has changed my heart, torture for me has been a moral conflict. I honestly don't know. And then, of course, the propaganda that I've been hearing for the last couple of years is, well, it doesn't work anyway because they'll tell you anything to stop hurting. People will tell you anything to stop when you're hurting them. Well, I'm not ready to take a stand on torture. I'm just giving you the information just in case any one of you has a similar moral conflict. I haven't heard from God on the issue. The police arrested this American citizen on spy charges. They tortured him, and he told them about the planned attempt on President Trump's life, which was supposed to take place simultaneously with this bank heist that was intended to destroy the economy totally. They were going to do it in one fell swoop on January 22nd. And I remember the Christmas Day came and went and there was no false flag. And New Year's Day came and went and I said, oh wow, no false flag. And then I heard about this. This was no false flag. They were going to do it. So the Russian police told Vladimir Putin, he called President Trump, and President Trump believed him. Sent the Secret Service to the barracks. It was a rogue company of Marines. Thank God the military, our United States military, did not turn on the president. It was a rogue, that's what they say, a rogue company of Marines. That was the detail that was assigned to protect the life of the president. So apparently they have a barracks there in the White House, and they must take turns rotating their assignments. So the Secret Service went to the barracks, and I don't know whether it was the whole, I got the impression it was the whole company of Marines, but I could be mistaken about that. That's what I read, a rogue company of Marines. And one of them started shooting. So the Secret Service shot back. There was one Marine killed in a shootout in the White House, which happened at the exact moment President called whoever he was supposed to call. The people he trusted moved him. I guess they moved him out of the Oval Office or wherever he was. They were moving him to a bunker. So he was in an elevator going down to a bunker while the Secret Service went to the barracks, and there was a shootout in the barracks. The one Marine started to shoot. So it sounds to me like it was really just one guy that was going to do it. And if it was just one guy that was going to do it, he had to know that the rest of them would have killed him on the spot. So I don't know. The article that I read said a company of rogue Marines, which would indicate they were all in on it. But just one of them started to fire, and the Secret Service killed him in a shootout at the White House. At the same exact moment, some treasonous people inside, I have to read this myself, I have more information about the assassination than about the bank heist. Someone on the inside had to let these people in. The plan was to steal I thought it was $3 trillion. They were going to steal $5 trillion out of this, of digital money, I guess, not cash, digital money, okay, which would have crashed the whole economy, and it would have shut down all the ATMs, and all of our money would have been worthless because there would have been no money in the country to do business or to do anything with. So it was a total disaster that I'm sure they have army. I'm sure, my guess from a little bit that I know, I'm no expert, brother, that the next step would have been after the whole country went into a crisis and the president was dead and there was no money to buy food or do anything, to just live your life, that whoever the planned person was to take over the country would have stood up and made themselves the dictator of the country. So I'm just happy that there are actually arrests being made. They say, you know, you just read everything that you can and you pray, and there are certain channels, there are certain alternate news media people that I have confidence in, but even then you can't believe everything they say because they could be mistaken, they could have wrong information. So I listen to everything, but a lot of voices are saying that President Trump will be starting military tribunals this year in January, and I hear President Obama has disappeared, and they say he's arrested, and that he and several others were served at President Bush's funeral. So this was my reaction to the whole thing. Lord, something has to happen, because you can't have President Trump, they're trying to kill him, he's resisting him, they're trying to kill him, he's resisting them, they're trying to destroy the economy, he's resisting them. The fight is too back and forth. There has to appear a show of force that will put down the other side. It can't be an equal fight. You get one blow and you get one punch and I get the other punch. This can't continue. Lord, help us. That was my response. So, as I said, I had more information about the assassination than about the bank heist. So let me read this to you. 50 Cabal agents arrested they were in the process of an electronic heist. They were going to steal digital money, brethren. A $5 trillion US dollars treasury agents stopped them before they could execute their plan. Again, this all came from the man who was tortured. These agents were slipped into the treasury. It appears their cabal plan was to pull the money electronically from circulation suddenly on Wednesday after New Year's Eve at stock markets. He probably got this off of the What Does It Mean website, and the English is not always the best. They come from Ireland, I believe. So the plan was to pull the money electronically from circulation suddenly on Wednesday, hoping to crash the stock market, causing banking systems across the nation to crash. And then there's something in parentheses here. Since this was stopped, it appears the following was avoided. Now, brethren, I heard about the assassination attempt on this site, What Does It Mean, yesterday, I guess. But this information about the banking did not even get to that site until today. That I heard verbally on the William Mount channel. As far as I know, he was the first one that had the news. He's there's something really strange about this guy, but he certainly does have connections. There's no question about it. So I heard yesterday about the bank heist, or the attempted bank heist, but I didn't have, he said $3 trillion. So this is what would have happened. All ATMs and credit cards would have ceased to function. All United States banks would close. All US dollars would be instantly worthless. The USA would cease to function as a country. Special agents within the Treasury detected anomalies in the system. God bless these agents. So, apparently this was not even coming from Putin. As I heard that, the phone call came from Putin, that they tortured this American spy. He told them about the attempted assassination. Maybe this is something completely different that was stopped by our Treasury agents. Thank you, Jesus. He was fighting for us. Special agents within the Treasury detected anomalies in the systems and introduced countermeasures that stopped the heist by a shutdown of the terminals being used and confused the cabal agents for enough time so that they were caught completely off guard when FBI Secret Service and Treasury agents swarmed the activities and arrested all. Now, my brother-in-law, who's dead now, he had a really high office in this Eastern District of the Treasury Department. God bless them all. FBI agents were deployed to the homes of all arrested and captured additional persons. All are being held without bail, thank God, charged with attempted coup and sedition against the Republic. So, brethren, these, as far as I know, these are the first people to be charged with sedition. Sedition is treason. You die. This is a death sentence. President Trump has ordered the 50 agents shipped to Gitmo tonight and interrogated extensively. The president has deemed at this time. I don't know what this RV is. If anybody that's listening, is Tony online?
No,
I don't know what this RV is. The president has deemed at this time RV must be postponed. If anybody has any idea what that is Rose online?
No.
Okay. RV must be postponed until more is known about this event. Mnuchin used to be a member of the president's cabinet, but he went back to Wall Street. So the president says Mnuchin went to bat for every currency holder, but the president overrode him. I'm not sure what that means. Saying that the timing of this indicated more than an attempted control of our finance system, but was trying to totally cripple it. So the president is saying this plan was not to control our financial system, not to steal the money. They wanted to cripple and destroy our financial system. So saying Mnuchin is fighting for the currency holder. What does that mean? Who is the currency holder? The currency holder, brethren, is all the money you have in the bank. The currency holder is all of the money in the pension fund for the pension that you draw every month. Okay, you're the currency holder. Every dollar that you have, if you have $1, it makes you a currency holder. So Mnuchin went to bat for the currency holder, but the president overrode him. What does that mean? I don't know, but I'm trying to give you a general idea because I don't know what it means myself. Mnuchin wanted to do in this crisis. I don't know what should be done in a crisis like this, but in this crisis, Mnuchin, ex-secretary Mnuchin, wanted to do what would be best for the currency holder. Okay. The president overrode him. So in other words, the president is going to do what's best for the country rather than the individual currency holder. I don't know what that means for us. But whatever the president does, it's for the long-range best for the country and the world. The United States currency affects the whole world. This would not just have crashed the American economy, this would have crashed the whole world. Now remember, there are crazy people out there that want to rule the world. When they talk about the cabal, they're talking about a league of people that want to that want to crash all national borders, want to crash all national governments, and put into effect a one world government where they would be kings and queens, so to speak. Only they wouldn't call themselves kings and queens. They're called oligarchs. And the rest of the peoples of the world would be slaves. That's the plan. Half of America is awake and half of America is sleeping. People that believe only the MSNBC and CBS, you're asleep because all of this information is available on the internet. So those of us that are awake, we're fighting the war for all of you while you fight against us. There's one more paragraph here. Mnuchin went to bat for every currency holder, but the president overrode him, saying that the timing of this indicated more than attempted control of our finance system, but was trying to totally cripple it. Martial law potential is high. If martial law is invoked, all elections will be halted, curfews imposed, and all travel suspended. The cabal have contacts across the nation. These are the treasonous people, brethren, the cabal. Have contacts across the nation and across D.C. Massive number of arrests are possible within 24 hours. Maybe the ATMs are closed. Mnuchin went to bat for the currency holders. Maybe they shut down the ATMs. Does anybody try to get, do you know anything about the banking?
No, I don't know about that.
And that would be my guess, that they shut down the ATMs, but I'm just guessing, I don't know. And President Trump said, no, they're going to be closed for a while until we make all these arrests. My contacts are going dark. Wait a minute, here's the website, who wrote it? No, it's not. It's not. What do you know? It's a different site. I don't know. I have to ask Tony who this guy is. My contacts are going dark until further notice. President Trump has been moved to a bunker for safety, but the vice president moved to a secret location. Now, they never put them in the same place. God forbid President Trump is killed, Vice President Pence is president. The first and second families are all being protected by military at this time. Pray for America, for the president and vice president and their families. I don't know who this guy is. So, brethren, that was the most, as far as I know, what do I know? That's the most ambitious attempt that I know about to destroy our country and take over the whole world. It's not just our country, it's the whole world, brethren. So I'm encouraged. I thank God for the patriots and the heroes that were involved with the shootout, and I thank God none of our people were hurt. I thank God for the patriots and the FBI, and although what I'm told now, brethren, you have to understand that there are rogue factions in every government agency. I'm told it was the FBI that paid this rogue contingent of Marines. See, this is the problem with having a volunteer army, a volunteer military. This is the problem. You get professional soldiers. And when there are professional soldiers, they're much easier to buy off than soldiers that are just soldiers for 4 years because they've been drafted and they want to go home to their families. These are professional assassins. And they were bought. And who bought them? The FBI. Now, I read in this article that the FBI was among the people, the men were arresting people. So when we say the FBI bought them, we're talking about people at the top, like Comey. You know? And Rosenstein, I think his name is Rosenstein. And that, can't even pronounce that guy's name, Strzok, and Lisa's girlfriend, at least if she's his girlfriend, some say she's not even his girlfriend. Yeah. people at the highest levels of the FBI paid for this. Well, I hope that they're making all of these arrests. I have the greatest hope they're being interrogated, that these people talk, and that they get them at the top and they prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. Which if they're proved guilty of treason, the fullest extent of the law is execution. I don't think that they should live, that we should support people that would have destroyed this country, destroyed our lives and our families and our livelihood of millions of people, that we should support them or feed them for the rest of their lives. That's my opinion. I think there should be public trials, and I think there should be public executions. And all of my fellow citizens that is sleeping and refuse to wake up because the truth is unpleasant, you must wake up. And this truth has to be put in their face to a degree that to not wake up at this point would be some kind of mental problem. The propaganda has to stop. So the report was that the military tribunals were supposed to start this month. Not only just the military tribunals, but the disclosure to the sleeping American public of the truth about what's really good, that we're in a cold war, a cold civil war in this country. It's been going on for a long time, actually. It hit a crisis point when President Trump was elected. But we've been in a cold civil war for years already. So the truth was about to be disclosed through the mainstream media to the people that don't listen to anything except the mainstream media. It was soft disclosure had already started. I'm told that a couple of the publications were saying things about Trump, that he did do something good, that he's not the Antichrist or Hitler or some monster. So they were trying to soften up the people for it. But this is going to force it much faster. This is going to force what? The full disclosure to the sleeping population. The country has to wake up. And everybody has to take a stand. You have to be on a side. Either you're for the Republic or you're for the global New World Order that wants to destroy this country and absorb us into a one-world government. You have to take a stand. Every last one of you have to take a stand. Are you a nationalist? Are you a patriot? Are you for democracy? Do you want to live in a place where your vote has some power? Or do you want some unelected oligarchs ruling over you? It's literally a remake of the old serfdom system of Europe. That's what they're doing. You'll be a serf on their land. What do you want? You don't believe what I'm telling you? Your lack of taking a position defaults you to the globalist vote. So, wake up, my fellow citizens, wake up. What is the RV? What are the first basket currencies? This is what Mnuchin was fighting for, that President Trump canceled. The RV stands for Revaluation of Internationally Recognized Currencies in relationship to the new gold standard. Oh, for those of you that don't know it, brethren, a lot of the countries, including President Trump, are gathering together gold because the money, the United States dollar right now is not gold backed. Okay, it's literally worthless and the country is literally bankrupt. Russia's gathering a lot of gold. China's gathering a lot of gold. I'm told President Trump has gold for America. So, and that President Trump has in the eaves a new gold-backed currency that will be released. Brethren, listen, I have to assume that you're grown up if you're listening to me. You have to be grown up. America is bankrupt, okay? We owe more than probably $40 trillion if they calculate it properly. The money's worthless. Okay, there has to be a financial reset. There will be some loss, depending on how much you have and where your money is invested. I'm no expert. There will be some loss. I am trusting God. I'm trusting Jesus that he raised up President Trump to give us the softest fall possible. But there has to be a financial reset because we are bankrupt. And the reset will be, in other words, the US dollar as it exists now will be replaced with a gold-backed currency. Now maybe Maybe he's going to keep the dollar, but there has to be a shift. Once he shifts it so that there's gold behind the money, there has to be some devaluation. There has to be some loss, brethren. And so that's what they're talking about here. The RV. What is the RV? What are the first basket currencies? The RV stands for Revaluation of Internationally Recognized Currencies. That's the dollar, the pound, the yen, probably the ruble also. In relationship to the new gold standard. So there's a new gold standard. What is the dollar worth? What is the British pound worth? Right now the dollar is worth nothing. Okay. When gold starts to back the dollar, what is it worth? Is your dollar worth 50 cents on the dollar? Is your dollar worth 25 cents on the dollar? Is your dollar worth 75 cents on the dollar? Now that gold is backing your dollar, and your dollar actually is worth something, okay, what will the value be? So, the RV stands for Revaluation of Internationally Recognized Currencies in relationship to the new gold standard, which has always been reinstituted to solve the global debt crisis. Everybody's in debt. The whole world is bankrupt, except the bankers who have all the money, and the Rothschilds and the trillionaires. They have all the money, and the oligarchs. Quietly, okay, I keep interrupting myself. The RV stands for Revaluation of Internationally Recognized Currencies in relationship to the new gold standard, which has already been reinstituted to solve the global debt crisis. So it's already started, this gold standard, okay? It's been started to solve the global debt crisis quietly via international treaty and soon to be announced. But so there's all kinds of secret deals going on. Whether the whole world is bankrupt, except for like 0.01% of people have all the money. Something really criminal and maniacal has happened since World War II. Okay. So, quietly, the leaders of countries, I'm told that Japan is involved, that there are very rich, there are families that are very rich, like trillionaires. Look, brethren, I teach you everything that the Lord shows me. This has been very shocking to me, but what it looks like to me is this, that there is a whole level of extremely wealthy people that have been running this world the whole time. They've been, so how much power did the United States president have? Not as much as we thought. That there are these ancient families. They may not even be human. They may be reptilian. I don't know. We know about the Rothschilds, the trillionaires, okay? But apparently there are others. There were Asian ancient families called the Red Dragon and the White Dragon family. There are ancient families from Japan and China that have been quietly hidden from the world as it runs for all of these centuries. And they have a lot of gold. So there's been a treaty going on. There's been negotiations going on amongst these super people that have all this gold that actually control the whole world. So what did we have here in America? A lot of the speakers, some of the speakers that I'm listening to today, that I'm getting my information from, are revealing today that England never let go of us, that we never won the Civil War. We never won the war against England. We never won it. And actually, I had a video. I didn't know what I was going to do today. I didn't finish Ezekiel 39, but it was exciting enough to preach on it. But I did. Maybe we're going to listen to that video. I had another video explaining how the Queen of England had, when they lost their land, when they lost their power, and when they were forced to leave India and Africa, they just shifted gears and they started an economic empire. And they've been controlling the world economically. So there were all these heavy plays with all of this money. I listened to this video, it was a little over an hour, And I didn't understand a lot of it, but I understood enough of it to say, wow, So here I'm reading to you an article that says there have been negotiations going on. I'm sure President Trump at the top of them. Because the whole world, the leaders of the world are scrambling to gather enough gold to start gold-backed currencies because everybody's bankrupt except this very, very small percentage, which I think is 0.01% of the people of the world. So that's what they're talking about. And apparently a treaty was signed. And what is Mnuchin talking about, the currency holders? Brethren, there are people, brethren, that know all about this, and they find out which currency is going to be more valuable, and they buy that currency. They buy the currency, let's say. Right now, I don't know enough to even, I actually considered it, but I don't know enough to even invest it. It would be foolish of me to invest any money. For example, President Trump went over to Iraq. When was it? Christmas Day, he went over to Iraq. What is he doing in Iraq? We have many more troops in Afghanistan. What is he doing in Iraq? Nothing is like it seems on the surface. So what's the scuttlebutt? There's going to be a new Iraq dinar. I believe that's the name of their currency, dinar. Okay? Well, is it a gold-backed dinar? There's going to be a new dinar currency, which means gold-backed. So there are people that are buying dinars. I think like 1,000 dinars is equal to $1. The currency is not worth anything today. But if you have thousands of dinars, if you invest $1,000 in dinars and you have thousands of dinars, and tomorrow there's an announcement that this dinar is now gold backed, and now you've just made 50% on your investment, that's what Mnuchin was talking about. The currency holders, the people that play the currency market, people that invest in currencies and make money by buying and selling currency. So there was apparently supposed to be a change at the first of the year, which means all of the people that had money invested in currencies, that purchased currencies of other countries because of this news that this currency was going to go up in value. Okay. Now, the release is being held back by President Trump. So let me read it again. The RV stands for Revaluation of Internationally Recognized Currencies in relationship to the new gold standard, which has already been reinstituted to solve the global debt crisis quietly. By only the rich people that know how to invest in currency should know about it, not you and me, right? By international treaty, and soon to be announced, it's a done deal. Now, in the process of revaluating all international currencies, including the dollar, brethren, there are a few that will be reinstated and or past discrepancies in their tradable value will be resolved. Some of them are going to disappear. Some currencies are going to disappear and be replaced by new currencies. Others will survive, and the past discrepancies in their tradable value will be resolved. This means there are a few first basket currencies that will make sizable adjustments in the pricing, which will create dramatic arbitrage opportunities for investors aware of the global currency reset. I thought about it, but I just don't know enough about it, so I forgot. I wouldn't investment. Those known first basket currencies, okay, here they are, include the Afghanistan Afghani, the Indonesia Rupiah, the Vietnamese Dong, the Iranian Rial, the Iraqi Dinar, and the Zimbabwe dollar. Their value is going to be reset. Why hasn't the RV already happened? Why isn't the RV more public? Why is it just for the rich people? Well, brethren, investments like this, it's the same thing as the stock market. You always run the risk of losing your money. So you shouldn't be playing any kind of a market. You shouldn't, this is gambling. You shouldn't be gambling, if you're in my opinion, unless you have $10,000 that, the whole point is whether it's $5 or $10,000, the point is this, can you afford to lose it? If you cannot afford to lose it, you shouldn't be playing this game. So I didn't play this game. I thought about the Iraqi dinar, I heard about it, I decided against it. Why hasn't the RV already happened? Why isn't the RV more public? It has happened in the background. In fact, on December 11th, 2016, here in the USA, and December 12th, 2016 in China, the revaluation process began in earnest and started a 3-week global process. 1 week before redemptions, in parentheses, selling off master accounts. I'm not sure what master account means, but a redemption means that a redemption means that you have something that needs to be redeemed. For example, if someone sends you a check or a money order, what can you do with a money order? What is that? It's a piece of paper. It's only good to burn it. Okay, you have to take it to the bank and redeem it. You have to take the money order to the bank, and they give you your money. That's called redeeming it. So, I don't know anything about this. Apparently, there has been some kind of paper, some kind of financial paper that says, "I owe you so much money." You put your money in, and you got a certificate that says, "This is worth the Iraqi dinar after it goes gold back and the price goes up." Then you have to take it to a trader that trades in that currency and get your money for the piece of paper, for the IOU. That's what it means. So in 2000, the public reveal or revelation of this new, I didn't read that yet, sorry. It has happened in the background. In fact, on December 11th, 2016, here in the USA, and December 12th, 2016 in China, the reevaluation process began in earnest and started a 3-week global release process. 1 week before redemptions, in parentheses, settling of the master accounts, 1 week of private redemptions by Christmas, 1 week after redemptions to clean up all 2016 business by New Year's Day, the public revelation of this new financial system will come online in 2017, and new rates will suddenly appear. Suddenly, it's going on, they're negotiating it for years. You're going to wake up one morning and find out there's a new rate, right? Will suddenly appear with public redemptions openly being allowed, and nobody will be aware of these private redemptions. In terms of why was the RV so private, it was determined many years ago that the transition of the global financial system was best kept as a diplomatic secret as to protect the masses from self-induced panic. We're the masses. They want to protect us from panic because, brethren, your money's going to be devalued. Our money's going to be devalued. I'm just hoping it won't be too much. So it's been kept quiet to prevent we cattle from being panicking. However, the process took nearly 20 years to complete, going back as far as 1996. So details did eventually leak out, and ultimately the RV, the financial reset, found its way, the revaluation found its way into the public consciousness. If you're reading this, it means you're one of them. What are screen rates? What are sovereign rates? When does the NDA come into play? Screen rates are what you would normally see at the bank when redeeming or buying foreign currency. I go to the bank and say, I want British pounds. Here's $100. Okay, how many British pounds can I have? They are tradable internationally and recognized anywhere in the world. Sovereign rates are values that countries value other nations' true value at. In other words, we get so many, if someone comes here and they have a British pound, I don't know what it is, but and it varies from day to day. Let's say a British pound is worth $1, $2. I don't know what it is these days. Maybe just right at the beginning of the sentence. They are tradable internationally and recognized anywhere in the world. Sovereign rates are values that countries value other nations' true value at, which ultimately creates a separate currency value based on audited natural asset value. The screen rate is a fraction of the sovereign rate. I don't want to get too technical with you. And for the first time in history, the average person on the street will be able to ask for and receive the sovereign rate if they are aware of it and have humanitarian projects, also job creation projects, that serve the greater good. So apparently it's supposed to be a good thing. Meaning all first basket currencies carry a higher sovereign value versus their screen rate. I don't want to get too... I guess that's it for us here. I think, well, I can't even get this up. Okay, here's one. Why is the ZIM so valuable? What is the ZIM? What redemption rate should I ask for? Well, since I'm not redeeming any money these days. Okay, I just want to see if there's anything more here that might help us. Let's see. How will I be contacted? Where do I go to redeem my currency? Is the RV legal? Is my redemption a taxable event? Because 209 countries, nobody knows anything, but you turn on the news, all they're talking about is the little girl that fell in the rhinoceros cage. I'm sorry that the little girl fell in the rhinoceros cage, but don't you think people would want to know something about what's going on in the world? No. Because 209 countries have already agreed for an international treaty, that's the Paris Agreement of 2015, to return to the gold standard. There's not going to be any more currency that's not backed by gold, and everybody's currency is going to be either is going to cease to exist or become devalued. And I believe that God has anointed President Trump to do the very best for us, but we'll see. But the rich guys don't lose any money. We'll see what happens. So 209 countries have already agreed, as far back as 2015 in Paris, to return to the gold standard. Actually, that's very good. There'll be an initial loss, but it's very good because we have to get rid of these banksters. These banksters are destroying the economy of the world with their usury. They're charging interest rates. And the RV is very, very much a legal event. Also, as a result of this kind of international cooperation, there will be no domestic or international taxation when you initially redeem your currency, as mandated by a global debt jubilee. Well, I hope it really is a global debt jubilee. I've been hearing about it, but I didn't know that it was real. What is a debt jubilee? It means if you owe debt, you're going to be forgiven. All of the currencies are going to be no good anymore. So they're coming in with a whole bunch of new currencies, or the old currency is gold back, which is now a new currency. And it's going to put the central banks out of business, and all of your loans will be forgiven. That's if it works. That's what a debt jubilee is. So it could work for you good if it happens. Safe passage will be secured by each individual government, military intelligence agency, and local law enforcement division worldwide, no matter where you live or how much currency value you might be carrying. So yes, on all fronts, the RV event is legal, tax-free, and very safe. And of course, they're also talking about Bitcoin, The final step in what has been a long and arduous process for many. Congratulations for sticking it out. Bitcoin is digital currency, brethren. It's all in it's all gambling, brethren. You really can't do it. And even if you know what you're doing, you have to study, you have to take a course in it, you have to learn about it, and then you gamble. So you should only do that if you can afford to lose the money. So we peons that work for a living, it's not for us. Although there are a lot of courses available if you want to take the time to study, and if you do have a few dollars. But these guys are professional. The guys that are involved in this, they never lose. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as the stock market. It's just other markets. If the market goes up, they win. If the market goes down, they win. They bet. They bet against whether or not the market will go up or down. And the market is rigged. So they know when it's going to go up or go down. So they never lose any money. So I think that we should all serve God. We should focus on serving God, working hard, working diligently at the profession that God has given us, and faithfully, and believe the scripture that says promotion comes from the Lord. I don't want my money unless God says he'll do it that way, but I would be surprised if he would. I don't want any money from the stock market. I don't want any money from gambling. I want it to come. There are many legitimate ways to get money. Let's see what the Lord will do for all of us. And I believe the Lord wants all of us to be comfortable so that we don't have to worry about money. And I don't think it would bother him at all if we have some extra money to enjoy the good life, if our character is strong enough that it won't turn us away from God. See? I don't doubt for a second that the Lord could make us all multimillionaires. I don't doubt it for a second. But the degree of morality, the degree of our moral development may not have risen yet to a place where we would not be destroyed by it. Brethren, even if you're a trillionaire, you need to work, brethren. Work is healthy. Work builds your self-esteem. Work is very healthy. It's just a question of what you do. So it's a blessing to work at something that you enjoy doing. What are you going to do all day if you don't work? Hang out on the beach all day? And then you start getting involved with hedonism and and ungodly sexual activity, and and then you just wind up down in the drink, brethren. You have to work. You have to have the satisfaction of accomplishment. See, so the reason we're not trillionaires is that we have not yet risen to the degree of morality that it would not destroy us. And you have to give a lot of it away. I mean, to get money from God. These trillionaires and oligarchs, they have money from Lucifer. But to get money from God, to be a trillionaire from God, if it's even possible to be a trillionaire from God, but to be a billionaire from God, brethren, look at Donald Trump. He's an excellent example. He's given away millions of dollars of his own money. And you can't ever forget the little person. I love that testimony of his, that his car broke down. Someone who didn't know who he was. Some average guy just stopped on the road and changed the tire for them. Why? Because he knew how to do it. And President Trump and Melania, they paid off the mortgage on the man's house. A couple of $100,000 that it would have taken maybe the rest of that guy's life to pay off. You can't. If you're going to forget where you came from, the Lord's not going to give you the money. So, brother, you can't be giving money away because you're thinking if you give it away, God's going to give you money. It doesn't work like that. You have to develop a moral consciousness. You have to develop a morality, a conscience, a moral consciousness, a philosophy of the conscience of money. You can't keep it all for yourself. You can't be that selfish. It will destroy you. See? You can't have it intellectually in your head. It has to be something that happens to your heart. You have to love people, even the obnoxious. You have to know that Jesus loves everyone, brother, no matter how obnoxious they are. You know, Jesus loves all the murderers on death row. He doesn't like what they do, but he loves them. That's what I've been trying to teach you here, or what the Lord's been trying to teach us here through me. The morality of God, the moral consciousness of God. You can't live for yourself, brethren. You will self-destruct. Okay. So, now where's the Lord want me to go? What time is it, Susan? I watch right now.
12:26.
The movie's a little over now. I'll tell you this then before we go to the movie, since we've been all over the place today. The movie is called. Oh, Susan, if you could you start setting me up for that video, please? Okay. It should be one of the latest on my history, something about the city of London. Do you know, brethren, that the city of London is a completely separate entity from London? It's like Washington, D.C. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you. The Lord just never ceases to amaze me. I should be used to it by now, but I'm never used to it. I'm never used to it. He wants us educated, brethren. He wants us educated in every area that we're capable of being educated in, because there are people that he wants to talk to and things that he wants accomplished with regard to people of all persuasions. And he cannot send us to talk to people where we don't know anything about what they believe. We cannot be effective talking to people when we don't know anything about what they believe. So the message on Sunday was this excellent message about what's the true meaning of salvation. That the true meaning of salvation is the satisfaction of sin. Actually, the satisfaction of that which drives us to do wrong things. It was incredible. I think I want to listen to that message again myself. Well, I'm always looking. I'm very visual. I actually prefer seeing something visual than reading, although I do read because I have to read. So when I'm eating or when I want to relax, I'm always on YouTube looking for something. And for a while I was watching a lot of TV programs and movies, hoping to find some TV series or a movie with some morality to it, so that I could learn something from it. And it seems like I've run out of old TV programs that are on Amazon Prime and movies that have anything that could be edifying to me. So I've started looking at documentaries on YouTube. I'm finding them very edifying. Recently, I started listening to a couple of lectures on philosophy, on Greek philosophy. Plato, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. That's the order. Socrates came first. Plato was his student. Aristotle was his student. I really didn't know much about it. I've heard Socrates, Plato, Aristotle for many years. I really didn't know anything about it, so I was curious. I started watching this. It was a series of, well, there were 2 lectures. I listened to something on Socrates, which I was shocked to hear that Socrates was executed, that he died. What was his crime? His crime was that he was influencing the Greek youth to question everything. He actually wound up being prosecuted and sentenced to death. I'd like to get more information about that. But I watched 2 hour and a half lectures on Plato last night. And I was absolutely amazed to find out that basically what the Lord is teaching us here could be considered Platonic doctrine, although I at this point I would be, well, anyone in the world, or any educated person, would tell you that I'm teaching Platonic philosophy here. When I teach about the reality being in the spiritual world and this world, the archetypes in the spiritual world, and that's the reality, and this is just an outplaying of those archetypes. Everything that I've been teaching here was in the first lesson. I was amazed, okay? And then the second lesson he went on, and I was very interested in it, except for two things that he said really offended me. Now, offense is pride, right? Offense is pride. So I was really surprised that I got offended. This man is a teacher. He has a PhD. He's a teacher. He's a college professor, that teaches humanities. And he was very likable. He was very likable, and he was a very good teacher. Okay? But he was very academic, okay? And then he just very blithely said at one point, well, if this were true, okay, if this were true, well, we now know that there is no devil. He says, we now know there is no devil, because if this were true, then that would be dualism, and we know that there is no dualism. And he just kept on going, like a subliminal cut right into the hearts and minds of his students, who, I don't know if his students would have ever been exposed to anything like we teach here, but apparently they were all Christians. I looked him up on the internet, and what I found on the internet is that he's teaching in a public college in Florida. But this particular series on Plato, he seemed to be teaching Christian students, so I don't know what that was all about. But I really resented that subliminal cut that came out of his mouth. Well, we know there is no devil. He had just gotten through explaining ignorance, he said. He said, in other words, what the Lord had me teach you last Sunday, that true salvation satisfies that which that satisfies sin. It satisfies that emptiness in us that results in our behaving or thinking badly, that if we were satisfied through a permanent union with the Lord Jesus Christ, we wouldn't have those ungodly thoughts or those ungodly needs, and we would never sin, okay? Plato, according to this teacher, Plato calls that ignorance. So either, and I may be mixing my own words in with this because I may not be recalling his words properly. He said either there's good, okay, or there's ignorance. So in other words, being totally said, based on what the Lord taught us last Sunday, if the Lord Jesus Christ joined himself to us and we were completely satisfied, we would be good, and that we would never do anything wrong. If that was not the case, that we were completely good, we would be ignorant. So according to Plato, and I'm trusting that this man knew what he was talking about, according to Plato, either we would be good or ignorant, but there is no devil. See? There is no evil. There is nothing that is wrong. It's just that you're lacking. See? And I see that that as much as what I heard in those couple of hours of lectures was so much of what I teach here, and maybe even in a very interesting way that would make it even more understandable. I was really enjoying it. And then he just hit home with that ungodly element to it, that there is no evil, just lack of good. There is no evil, just lack of good. And I realized that it is from this foundation that the whole unholy culture that exists in our world today has emerged. Even the concept of not disciplining your children, of if they're doing something wrong, divert them in another direction. When they're good, reward them, pour blessings on them. When they do something good, when they do something bad, ignore it. It's all coming out of this belief that either you're good or you're lacking good. So therefore, if you're a child and you're being mischievous, you're lacking something good. So I'll give you candy, or I'll give you something that you like, or I'll play a game with you so that you won't be lacking good anymore, and now you'll stop being mischievous. Complete denial of evil. And I guess I was, I don't like to say I was offended, but I was. Of the subtlety, because I liked the man, I liked him, he was a good teacher. Did he know he was doing anything wrong? I don't know. But it was so fast, it was so quick, he didn't address it, he just dismissed it We now know, all you young people that don't know anything, we now know, because when you first go to college you don't know anything, okay? We now know that there is no devil, because that would be dualism. And he goes on, doesn't even spend 1 minute explaining dualism or why dualism is rejected. And then the third part to his lecture was on Paul's Christianity. And he was trying to explain Paul's Christianity. You know. And I didn't finish listening to it because I was too offended by it. I thought that he was teaching at he talked about Paul and he zeroed in on circumcision. It didn't, I don't know why I'm even telling you this, okay? What is this? He zeroed in on Paul's, talking about the issue of circumcision that Paul addresses. You know? And somehow from there he went into the Old Testament. And I don't know whether this man, I don't know who gave him the syllabus for the course. I don't know whether it was his syllabus. I don't know whether he realized whether he had an agenda or not. But I thought it was totally inappropriate the way he was teaching the Old Testament. That is a holy book. Even though the animal sacrifices don't apply anymore, we know that there is a spiritual satisfaction of all of those laws in the Old Testament. And he was teaching it from a position of they're not valuable anymore. And I couldn't watch anymore. I shut it off. So I don't know why I started telling you all this. Do you have any idea why I started talking about this? No.
No.
I know that.
You were starting to talk about Socrates and Plato and why you were going to those videos.
Yeah. I know when I listened to it that if the Lord gave me the opportunity, I wanted to tell you about it. But I don't know how I worked it in here this morning. With regard to the financial situation. I don't know. But I'm glad that I shared it with you because I think where I was coming from was that I was telling you that the Lord wants us to be educated in every area that we can possibly be educated, and maybe it has to do with watching this video on the finances, because we can be an expert in his doctrine, but we need to be able to relate it to people on their level of understanding. So now, if the Lord ever brings me to someone that will throw up this issue to me, this issue of Plato, well, Christianity was stolen from Plato. No, Christianity was not stolen from Plato. Plato somehow connected with the Logos, he connected with ancient Adam and received this holy information, and Christianity connected with the Logos also, and received this holy information in its correct form, not in the Platonic form, which says there is no evil. So, I think the Lord just wanted that answer to brethren. How can I explain this simply to you? Brethren, we have a job to do. When Christ Jesus starts living through us, like he's living through me, he wants it to happen to all of you. He wants to answer every lie, especially the lies that tell a lie about God and about God's truth. Now, what I just said to you, however I got into it, I don't know, but Christ Jesus in me wanted to answer, how can I say it? I'm not even answering that professor. There is a spiritual being, there is a spiritual archetype, that teaches that Plato was the father of philosophy, and that Paul and Christian philosophy came out of or sits upon the foundation of Platonic philosophy. And that is a lie. Today I tell you that is a lie. I tell you Platonic philosophy came from a man that somehow connected the foundation of everything that there is. Even Plato himself, according to this teacher, calls it the Logos. What is the Logos? The Word. And in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But he denies God. He talks about the logo. He talks about the spiritual foundation upon which the archetypes are based, and upon the people that express the archetypes, and then he denies God. See? So when God brings us to an era, he wants the truth preached. I don't know who's going to listen to this video, but it's preached into the spirit. It is a lie that Paul's philosophy is based upon Platonic philosophy. It is a lie that Plato is the father of philosophy. It is a lie. There was Hebraic philosophy. There was the God of Israel. There was the philosophy that was given to Moses. And all that you read is the letter of the word, and you think that there's no philosophy there. Philosophy, there's only one philosophy, and it's in the Logos. See? It's in the Logos, and the Logos is God. So you cannot have a philosophy that's not of God. If it is, it's a false counterfeit philosophy, no matter how much it sounds like the real thing. So the devil is real. There is a devil. His name is the first Adam. See? And there is ignorance, which is lack of satisfaction, and evil. They both exist. So God has, you see, when I preach it, sometimes it happens when I'm alone, but there's something even more powerful about preaching it publicly. Christ Jesus in me wanted to get that out publicly. So something very important has just happened here. However I got into it, he brought it forth. Something very important has happened here. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of you are supposed to be doing the same thing. To whatever degree you are educated in this world, and you are sufficiently educated in the doctrine of Christ, wherever you come to a crossroads, where you, because of all that he's taught you, you can recognize an error. He wants it spoken out. If you can't do it, you come to me with it. He wants it recognized. Brethren, you don't have to be a college graduate. If you go to college, that's fine. I'm talking about those of us that are here now. I just listened to a 2.5-hour course on Plato. And the Lord is using it to correct an error in the spirit. Brethren, we're supposed to be remaking the whole world. The whole world has to be remade. That means every error has to be corrected. And that means he needs all of us. First, we have to get the spiritual truth. Then we need to be educated in the things of this world to reveal the error when you compare the spiritual truth to the error. That is our function. That is our job. Recreating the world in the image of God. Recreating the world in the opinion of God. We need to carry the opinion of God. Maybe that'll be a short clip. I don't know. It's very exciting what God is doing. It's alive. And we need to tap into it. And the way you tap into it is that you have to be filling your mind and your heart with the information. But you need to love it. So if you're interested in what I'm saying, but you don't love it, you'd rather watch the movies in the movie theaters today. Then what you can do if you want to is confess that as sin. Why? Because you're not living up to your potential in Christ. And ask him to help you, to change you. You don't want to fake it. You can't fake it. It won't work if you fake it. So anyway, for whatever reason that came out. We're now going to watch this movie about the city of London, if I can find it. That's not it. Yeah. So can you hand me the... Okay, yes, we're going to stop this video. This is an interesting day. So I'll just tell you this, that I did translate a lot of Ezekiel 39. And the reason you may have heard me mention recently that, well, I don't know if we'll do Ezekiel 39 or not. The reason I was so reluctant to do it is that I had looked at the chapter in the interlinear text a couple of times and I couldn't get the revelation on it. That's why I said I might not do it. But I looked last night and I got the revelation on one or two really difficult verses So it was very exciting, but I haven't finished the chapter. I was going to preach last night. I said, what is this video? What do you want me to do? I'm going to have 2 messages now. But I thought he wanted me to preach Ezekiel 39, but apparently he's canceled that message. I hope to have the whole chapter for you. Today's Thursday, right? By Sunday. It's a possibility that I'll have it for you by Sunday. It's a distinct possibility. So, this has been an interesting, the Lord is very, we never know what he's going to do. Okay? This is a very interesting ministry. Okay, we're going to end this video, brethren, and we're going to watch this YouTube video. It's about the City of London. As I told you, the City of London is completely independent, like the Vatican.